Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to my stream and another chapter. Working on this guy right there. That is our 2021 Ford Bronco by AMT. As you can see sitting on my desk here. We'll run the intro, yeah, and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're gonna continue on the build. And as you can see from the last time, I don't have one but two of these guys sitting on my desk. You might ask why. Well, last time we did the painting, right? Last time we got the interior all put onto our chassis, and that's all done. She's all finished and that's all good and nice. And then we moved on to painting the body, right? And you know, at the end of the episode, I had discovered that I had a bunch of orange peel on my body and it doesn't look very good. So, I'm going to show you. Let's change the camera and you can see. So, this is our finished product of that body. Now, I did try to sand this down. This is a little bit rough. It's smooth, but it really looks like garbage. You know, that doesn't look good at all. Right? That is a really horrible finish, and I had never encountered that before. So, what did I do? Well, I went to Google. And I asked Google, you know, what causes orange peel in airbrushing? And Google told me a couple of different things. One is you could have not enough air pressure. You're not introducing enough air to the paint as it goes on, so the particles are coming out too thick. And the other is your paint might actually be too thick. Well, this Pro Scale paints, as they come, they're already thin. They're pre-thinned. They are pre-thinned in the jar. You don't have to add any thinner at all. You can spray them right out of the jar. So I knew that wasn't the case. It wasn't the fact that this is too thick. And also, you could tell when I was spray painting, it came out just fine. It was coming out of the nozzle absolutely fine. So I just determined I must have not had enough air pressure in my compressor. I must have had it turned down, because I turned it down a little bit because I find with my Tamiya paints, I get a little kind of like the paint is drying almost before it even hits the surface, and so I turned down my pressure a little bit so that, you know, the molecules are a little bigger and they dry a little better. Anyway, obviously with the Pro Scale, that was not a good idea, and I came up with that. So then I just said, okay, so I need to repaint. Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to strip this down? Am I going to just sand the crap out of it and try and get a good finish out of it at the end? I decided, you know what? I've got the other kit sitting in the box, and it's the exact same mold, so why not just grab that and start from scratch with that one? So I grabbed that body, I re-primed it with some white primer, sanded it down just a little tiny bit with some 10,000 just to make it nice and smooth, and I cranked up my pressure. I had it at about 15 psi. I cranked it up to about 18 psi, and I actually added a little bit of Mr. Color leveling thinner. I added a little bit of that, maybe about an extra 20%, something like that, to it. I figured, you know what, I can't make it too thin, and this of course is leveling thinner, so it's got a little bit of a retarder in it so it doesn't dry quite so fast. I've tried that, and so this is junk, and so I sprayed it on this guy, and as you can tell with the black accents, this came out looking pretty good. Let's change the camera again, and you can see this is a much smoother and shinier product. Still have that little blemish right here in the hood. That's like molded in the plastic somehow right there. You can see that. I sanded that down, I primed it, I sanded it. I couldn't see it in the primer, and on my first few coats it couldn't see it, and then when I did the clear over this, all of a sudden it came back. So I don't know, there's just nothing I could do about that. But anyway, I've got this to a point where I am happy with it. It doesn't have to be a show quality. As you can see, I got a little bit of some, I guess you could say, crazing right in here, a little bit, but it's, you know, on the back here, it looks nice and shiny for what it's going to be. Yep, looks good. And then we got this side. Again, a little bit of crazing just on the door there, right? Just right in that little spot. But for the most part, this is good. Sitting on the shelf, this is going to look pretty good. So I can't really complain. That's a much improved version. Much improved version over what we had last time. So with that being done, we can move on to the next step in the instructions, and which includes putting some parts on the inside of the body. So change my glasses, change the camera, and we'll see just what is next. Let's just move that over here for now. I'm going to put this guy behind me. Oh, Pepsi. Yeah, I forgot about my Pepsi. Okay. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. All right. Let's change the camera and let's see what we got going on here. All right. So we finished step 11 last time. That's all done. We also finished step 12. We got our firewall in there with our pedals. That's all in here too. Okay. So it's all done. So we go to step 13. It says here, see step 15 for further body color details. So if we go to step 15, it doesn't really tell us anything. What is BC? BC. Body color. Okay, yeah. So, looks like we're going to do some windows and do our overhead panels and that kind of fun stuff. So, let's just hold this like that so it fits on my desk nicely. And let's grab some parts. So we need these guys here. Where are all my sprues? My sprues are all over here. There's the one with our overhead console on it. And more of these. And I think I'm going to need these parts too, so I'm just going to leave those out. Okay, so our overhead console has to come off here. There's that guy. This is for our spare tire on the back. That'll be later. Is this undergated? A little bit. We're going to have to clean that up. I wasn't sure how much of this is going to be exposed through the top of the roof because, well, it is an open roof, right? Anyway, there's that. So we need this little trim piece here, which is this. Number 50 and 49, and oh yeah, we got all this parts to go together first. Step 13. Step 13 is over here, hiding over there. This is undergated, so these are all, our nubs are all on this side. So this is what undergating is all about. This is where you've got parts that you don't want to have some ugly nubs. We are going to need these parts too, so we might as well get these off of here. Okay, it's almost it for this sprue. In fact, I'm just going to do this, and this, and this. I like reducing the size of the sprues in my boxes while I can. Okay, so for our undergated parts, see, we've trimmed it off here, but it's actually connected on the top here, which, well, technically it's underneath. So we can do this. Now let's clean these up a little bit here. Okay, and see, that way we don't have any ugly nubs that we're going to be seen. So we have this, but we have to assemble all these parts first. 55, 56, 54, 57, all these guys. And they are on this sprue. And that's all these four pieces here, I believe. even with my overspray, yeah, 57, 53, 5, 6, 4, whatever it is. 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that. And these also undergated on the one side. So let's just do this. I did actually, I went online and I looked at a few pictures of what these things look like with the roof off of them, just so I could understand the whole paint scheme of the frame underneath the roof, which is how I knew to paint this like that, because that's what it's like on the real thing, right? Okay, undergated there, undergated there. I've said this a few times throughout this series. I think they went a little overboard with the undergating on everything. Just about every part's undergated, and it's a little much. It's almost like they're just assuming you don't know how to clean up your nubs. Like, I don't know, maybe you don't even own an X-Acto knife or something. It's almost like what they're assuming. Or they're like, hey, we can undergate now, let's just do it on everything. Bandai's been doing it since the 80s. No. Okay, so this is fairly simple. We can match them all up. Match our pieces up. I might have to repaint these bits. So we get these all put together. Kind of like that. It's not the best fit, especially with my terrible nub cleanup. Yeah, they have it undergated, but if you don't clean up the nub after the, you know, on the edge that it's attached to, then the parts won't fit together at all. All right, let's get some glue on this. Okay, there's one piece. No, not the show one piece. It's the one piece. And no, not the one piece to rule them all. I don't even know where I got that from. Yes, you do. You got it from Lord of the Rings. Okay. I've seen these pieces on the real truck and I don't even know what that's all about. Of course, I got glue on my fingers, so I took some of the paint off, which is why I mentioned I might have to wind up repainting these. I don't know. It definitely would give it like a weathered look. So these are supposed to go onto this, and it looks like they just go on to that little tab there like this. Or they go there. It's really kind of hard to determine. See, they show them here. They look like they're on the inside. Like that. It looks like they go like this. It's not exactly the most positive alignment of anything. Let's see. And similar things with this. Let's clean up these nubs here. Our interior trim panels also just kind of go in like this and just kind of sit there, and you just kind of hope that it lines up. So I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Let's put it in the body. Drop the hood on the floor. So this basically, we got all our little pegs that are going to line it up here in the back. Something like that. And so our interior trim, this one would go in on this side. Or you can drop it on the floor. So the question I have is, which do I have to put in first? So I can get away with putting this in and then put these ones in after it's in. That's not going to be a problem. I got to do a little bit of touch-up paint in here. I got to get some paint coverage in there. So yeah, I can do that, but what about our center console? Overhead console. Does this have to go in first, or can I put it in now like this? And which way does it go? It goes like this. It looks like our our overhead's got to go in before these guys. So this guy might have to go in first. Get him lined up onto his pegs. Which he doesn't really want to do. There we go. Okay, obviously some painting is required on that part. So let's do a little bit of painting. I gotta do some touch up here. I'm gonna move this because it's just getting in my way a little bit here. So let's grab some Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. That's what everything black is painted with. Except for these. These are actually painted with NATO black. But for the touch up underneath everything, this is all just flat black, just to fill it in. There we go. So I didn't want the yellow poking out there. I don't want it poking out. And as far as this is concerned, does this cover everything here? Ah, stop dropping everything. Doesn't really cover, so I'm just going to do a little touch up along this edge in here. There we go. A couple little spots to touch up here and here. And a couple little things that I didn't quite get everywhere on my initial painting. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. Didn't quite get it along the hood edge here. Okay, that's better. Okay, so let's clean up my brush and let's get some NATO black out. Actually, I need to do this edge, sorry. This is going to be under the windshield, but nevertheless, I want to make sure this is nice and black, even though it's under the windshield, and the windshield has its little bar all around it. It's all pre-painted for us, but I want to make sure this is covered. Okay. Now the NATO black to touch up a couple little spots on my interior panels. Some of that off of there. Doesn't have to be super clean, but clean enough. NATO black, this is the XF69, okay, which my camera didn't want to focus, so sorry about that. So I need to touch this up because, well, it kind of came off on my fingers a little bit. That looks better now. And there's this little spot here, I just don't like that. And then same on these little panels where I scraped the nub away. I feel like I'm Butterfingers today. Everything wants to go on the floor. There we go. All right. Okay, so I think we're going to start with the overhead console going in first, but I'm finding that it doesn't really want to go in the hole, so I'm just going to see if I got a bit here that will just open up these holes a little bit. That's a little small. That's a little too big, I think. Let's see if I've got just a slightly bigger bit. Maybe in here? No, not in this one. Maybe in this guy. No. That's actually the size of that hole. That's the actual size. Like perfectly that size. But that's... That's why this bit, which happens to be that size, is not really doing anything. I can kind of do angles and kind of open it up a little tiny bit with that bit. Open up the bit with the bit. Open it up a bit with the bit. Come on, really? Okay. I mean, it fits, it's just not quite there, you know, like it just doesn't quite want to go. I might wind up having to trim these out completely. I can't even blame the paint. I can't say, oh, I got too thick a paint on there. That is not the case at all. There's not a lot of paint on this. So I'm just going to scrape these pegs. This has got to be one of the hardest parts to put in on this thing. Just because you've got cross members and everything all in your way to see and to hold. It just won't go in the hole. There we go. Oh, no. That side's in. That side's in. Okay, we're in. Just like that. Okay, let's glue this thing in. Actually, what I'm going to do, that's exactly where it goes, just like that. It really shouldn't be that hard. Okay, so I've got glue in those spots. I'll use capillary action of the extra thin in a second. Okay, we're in. We're in, we're in. Yay. It just needs to stay there. head console is in. Alright, so with that in, we can put this guy now. Okay, I'm going to do that now. He went in no problem. So we can put glue in all of our little peg holes for this guy. Except for this side, we gotta go like this. Again, it's a little bit difficult to get in there, to get it where you need to, because it's hard to get in there with your fingers. I mean, once it's in, it's good, but getting there is a bit of the challenge. And I see now why they kind of want you to put those rear things in there first, because now getting these on there is going to be, well, a little difficult. But they do just sit there. They don't even slide in underneath. It just sits like that. So just kind of sits there. It seems like it's sticking out a little too far, like that's flush on there, but that cannot be right. I'm going to try test fitting the roof, and I have a feeling it's going to interfere. And I'm wrong. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. That is weird. That really sticks out. I would not have expected that to be the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to put a little clamp on this just to hold that in place for me. Let's grab this and let's just put this in here like that. So we've got a good connection there. I kind of want to do the similar thing on our front edges. And I want to add a little more glue. All right. Let's get this other guy on there. This one sits at a slightly different angle. So I'm going to bend this one down so so that they're both the same. So they're both on the same curve, like that. Okay, we can flip this over, I think. And take a look at our, what are they called? A-pillars? Shove that in there, and it's going to go like that. It doesn't really want to sit flush against the, flat against the pillar, but I think with a little bit of holding, we can convince it. I'll just hold on to that for a minute. I might actually change my clamps here. Let's do, these are a little strong. If I put this like that, there we go. That holds it nice and tight. Perfect. Let's get another clamp ready. Tucked in underneath the railing is the tricky part. So I'm actually going to take my clamp off of here so that this can I can kind of wedge it in there. There we go. And now I'll clamp it again. Putting this one in place, pulled the railing out from the edge, and it doesn't really want to stay now. It doesn't want to stay in where it's supposed to. Alignment is not the best on this side, but with some clamps and some patience, she'll hold. Now that all that wrestling around I did with that, this has moved a little bit. I just want to make sure they're going to stay. Okay. We're going to let this sit for a minute. So we close up our glue bottles and have a look at what's next after all this panel stuff. Okay, so we're going to let these dry for a little bit. Obviously I can't put my windows in. I can't put my windows in because, well, I got clamps in the way right now. Even the windshield I can't do right now. I could put the rear view mirror in. But our rear view needs a little paint also, because you know what? In real life, the back of your mirrors are never chrome, right? And of course, it's a chrome bit, but we want to preserve the chrominess of the actual mirror. So we're going to paint around it. And actually, yes. Actually, yes. So let's paint over this. Probably would have been easier to do this after it's installed, but it doesn't really matter. If I need to touch up afterwards, then so be it. I touch up afterwards. There we go. Our mirror is now black like it's supposed to. Like it's supposed to be. With only the mirror being the mirror. Yeah. Now, of course, the nature of chrome parts, I'm going to have to remove the chrome off of the tip of the mirror mount. Because of the yeah. Yeah, that's right, because of the yeah. It looks like it's all just, the rest of this is going to be little parts of the body. Things like putting on the fenders, putting on these little, I don't know what these are. They're supposed to be like grab hooks of some sort to lift the truck up or something. I really don't know what the purpose of those are. Anyway, it's item number 12 and 13. And those are these two guys here, 12 and 13. We can put those on under the hood. So this one, this is number 13. 13, and this is 12. That's 12. Okay. So 13's got a big tab on this, on it, on that side. 12 has a big tab on this side. So I was looking at underneath the hood here. It looks like 13. We've got some X-Acto knife on the floor. It looks like we got some stuff that's going to have to be cleaned up here. Actually, I think I know exactly what this is. After I painted this, I polished it up. So I got an accumulation of some polishing compound in here from under the hood. So that I got to clean that up. Clean that out of there. So obvious left and rights on these shouldn't be too difficult to fit those into their little spots. I say it shouldn't be too difficult. Get in your hole. There we go. Yeah, pretty simple for that. You've got to make sure these are flush in there. If they're not flush, you're not going to be able to close your hood. So there's got to be flush in those sides. Okay, got to keep that in mind. Okay. And with those put in, the hood can go on. And of course, the hood is going to be glued on because she ain't got no engine in there. But those things were important to get in there first. So I'm going to glue the hood from underneath and kind of hold it down. Put a glue on our little posts here, and then along here. along here. I have to admit, this is the first car model I've built where I've actually glued the hood down on purpose. There we go, hood's glued down. That's crazy, I'd never done that before. Okay, fenders. The fenders are already flat black, so we can glue these on. I'm not sure if they're actually specific to each spot. We're going to start with the passenger side. The front is number 4. So let's see if I can find the numbers on these. They do not appear to have any numbers at all. There may have been numbers on their crossbars and I went and cut those off. So this is going to be a fun little game of which one fits where. And of course they're undergated. So let's try this one here and we'll see where this one fits. I doubt they're all going to fit in the same spot. Let's see how this guy goes. I got one hole lined up at the back, but that's it. It doesn't, the rest, the other holes don't line up. Let's try this side. Line up this hole here. And no way. Okay, how about here? Again, no way. Well, by process of elimination, this one should fit on the passenger rear. And it does. So with the holes going through, right through the body, I can glue from this side. I can glue from the back. And I'm sorry, I just did that all off camera. As I look up and I see where I had it positioned. So, using my 2 fingers on that side, I can do this and hold it in place. Put glue, glue, and glue. There we go. Okay, so there's one. So let's try another one here. Try and line these up like this. And does that look like it's it? That's the one? Maybe. That could be it. That is not this side. So let's grab another one. I want this side. I want to do one side at a time here. So I might as well get all 4 of them off. Yeah, get them off. Okay. Let's see if this one fits. Oh, there we go. Alright, so that's that side right there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Flip it over. glue here, glue there, and glue there. There we go. So there's those two in. I got two more to go. Where'd my knife go? Okay, I think these have probably had enough time to dry, so I think probably we can get rid of our clamps and have a little more freedom. Okay, which one is the rear? Not that one. There we go. Sometimes oh, we've got a little bit of flashing on this one I need to clean up. She's not gonna line up. Got a bit of a blemish right here. There we go. Other than that one spot, the rest of these have all lined up really nice. And yes, a part of me wants to add more glue than just in those three little spots that it's going. But the capillary action as it goes through, it is spreading the glue out a little bit everywhere, so you don't really have to worry about that. But that's all four of our, our mud guards slash fenders put on. So that's all this part. That is actually step 15 completed, except they want us to paint the top across here, which, well, I kind of already did. But they want us to paint it on the outside, on the top here, and go across and paint that. I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to leave that. This is going to be displayed with the roof on it 99% of the time, I imagine. So I'm just going to leave that. Now, as far as our windows, I'm tempted to just leave our door windows off, because honestly, like, why have them on there? We can assume that the door windows are just rolled down. Why not, right? Let's take this out of here. And this can come off. So our clamps are done doing their jobs. I kind of don't want to bother putting the door windows on. It doesn't need to be all closed up. But our windshield does need to go in, and our rear view mirror needs to go on. So let's flip this over. Let's put our rear view in. This has now had a few minutes to dry. Let's get this off of the peg, or off of the, you know what I mean, off of the sprue. And he's going to go right in that little centered spot right there. So I'm going to put some glue in there now. Right where he's going to go, and tweezers, this is the driver's side, so that mirror should be pointing a little bit more like this. And not crooked, it should be straight. There we go. I always like to have my rear view mirrors just a little skewed, not quite straight back, because your rear view mirror never is. The driver turns it towards him so he can see, right? And so your rear view is always going to be that little bit of a skew to it. But there we go. So the rear view mirror is in. That's perfect. Let's grab our windshield. Where is our clear parts? We need clear parts. Here we go. We have our windshield here. You see, I got overspray on my bag. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I got overspray on there. And that's why I like to leave these in the bags. Now I need to trim this off. Ever so carefully. As careful as you might be, you're still going to have a little blemish on your windshield. See that little blemish at the bottom there? It's not really much you can do about that. I'm going to try with my razor file. Let's see if I can polish that up a little bit. I mean, it's still going to be there. No matter what I do. But I can try and minimize that. It's on the outside of the glass. So I can try putting a little dab of gloss black paint. Unless it tucks under here. If it happens to tuck under, then hey, I'm laughing. If it doesn't tuck under, then I'm not laughing. Let's see. If it tucks underneath the cowl, which it might, because you don't want it to sit. Let's go around the perimeter of the glass. Actually, they show it going in from the inside. But with my interior panels already in, how does that go in? I can't get it in there. These stupid assholes. You see, this is one thing they failed to do. These panels that go in on our pillars got to go in after the glass. So I got to rip these out like this and like this. Tuck that glass down in. Like so, and then put these back. Now, fortunately, it hadn't been that long of a period of time, so the glue hadn't permanently held everything, but now I've got to re-glue everything. redoing my clips, everything like that. So that little blemish at the bottom actually didn't matter at all because you can't see it. So that is one saving grace, but that's also a key. So put your windshield in first. Put the windshield in first, or actually you can put the center console, your overhead console in first, then the windshield. That needs to be done. My fenders all seem to be holding very well. So let's have a look, because aside from door windows, which I'm not going to bother with the door windows, this is done. So we can flip over and see what's next. I've actually still got quite a bit to do. What I am going to do is I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to assemble our side view mirrors. We have the mirror part going into the cavity here, and then we've got the little attachment point going on to that. So I'm going to assemble those off camera. The other thing I'm also going to do off camera is I'm going to do our headlights. I'm going to put the clear lens into the grille and then put the chrome in behind them. I'll get that assembled off camera as well. This part we'll deal with, okay? And then we'll put some more stuff on next time. We'll get this done, okay? So that's where we're going to leave this for now. All right, so we're going to let this dry, let this cure up, and we'll get prepared for the next episode. All right, guys. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on my little journey on this little Bronco adventure. And yeah, don't forget to check the description box down below. I've got links in there for my other stuff, like my Twitch, my Instagram, X channel, stuff like that. You can check those out if you feel like it. It's all up to you. You have the power. And also, don't forget to hit the like button and maybe subscribe over there too. That would be really fantastic. I'd really appreciate that a lot. Leave a comment down below if you like this stuff. I like reading your comments, and it does help out my channel with the YouTube algorithms and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you again, guys, for watching, and we'll see you all on the next one.